Yeah, what if it was just like a...
I ain't no altar boy. I ain't no yes man. No, no. You ain't no God of mine. No, I don't need your blessings to save me. When you thought that I was done, you ain't seen nothing yet. Walk that wire, start that fire, burn it down, yeah. You ain't seen nothing yet. I go harder, let the sun fill me now. You ain't seen nothing yet. I got this storm in my head, a forest fire in my chest. Look at the time on the clock, man, I'm gonna sleep when I'm dead. Whether you're ready or not, I'm rolling in like a train off the tracks, coming at you. You ain't seen nothing yet. Walk that wire, start that fire, burn it down, yeah. You ain't seen nothing yet. I go harder, let the sun fill me now. You ain't seen nothing yet. My heart, my soul, my fight, my appetite won't stop, won't quit. I come back every time. My heart, my soul, my fight, my appetite won't stop, won't quit. I come back every time. My heart, my soul, my fight, my appetite won't stop, won't quit. I come back every time. You ain't seen nothing yet. Walk that wire, start that fire, burn it down. Oh yeah, you ain't seen nothing yet. I go harder, let the sun fill me now. You ain't seen nothing yet. You ain't seen nothing yet.
Dude, we're dropping a lot of frames.
Is it getting jet?
Yeah, I'm gonna have to stop that upload. Happy Friday! It's Chris and Mark with the NWA Exchange podcast, the only podcast you need to know everything about Bella Vista and beyond. We're trying to bring you all types of great information, especially because we have early voting coming up. Let's go ahead and talk about it. What's going on, Mark?
We got through the week, man. We had a lot of interviews, and I'm
We
happy
did.
we were able to get them all done. Boy, so, a lot of good stuff, man. We looking at it, early voting Monday. So we got them in just in time. I had a few out there that I tried to get a hold of. Hopefully we can get them on next week, but
yes,
again,
and it was a marathon of trying to get these videos uploaded prior to the podcast tonight. we both work full-time jobs. We don't allow this podcast to interfere with our professional lives. But rest assured to all the people that we interviewed, the videos will be uploaded by the close of today. I've got 2 more to upload. We will have one on the show tonight to provide some context to early voting that's coming up Monday. But I want to just say thank you to everybody who has come on the show and interviewed this far, right? We stand on this platform and we say this is an opportunity for us to get to know the candidates, the people that are running for political office or for any public service position. And it's a pleasure getting to know these people. And, had we not done this, Mark, I don't think I would have ever known anything about half of these candidates.
Yeah, I mean, I totally agree with you. I learned a lot of things these last 4 interviews. And again, I second what you said. I'm very appreciative they took the time out of their days to get on the show here. And it just opens up people to their platform, And like you said, some of these candidates, we weren't really aware of them, then having conversations with them and like, yeah, you know what? They got some pretty good ideas. So
they do. And every one of them has great ideas. And I think that kind of helps kind of smooth the road, because politics have gotten pretty dang toxic over the past several years. Right. And, at the end of the day, we're all human, right? We all have to coexist. We all have to live together on this planet. And it's like, once you start interviewing people from different political backgrounds, you start to realize that we all really have the same common goal, right? We just disagree on how to get there. And so I think that this is a great reminder that we're all human. We all have value, right? And regardless of any political affiliations that somebody may or may not have, they still have some really good ideas in that noggin of theirs.
Yeah, totally agree with you. And hey, this is where it all happens locally, man, is the focus. We can only control what's in our backyard. And that's it, man, at the end of the day. So.
Yep. And that being said, thank you very much, everybody. And we will go ahead and go into what's happening this week.
Yeah. So we're wrapping up. We're getting close to the end of the Bella Vista Farmers Market here. We have tomorrow, what is that? The 22nd and the 29th. So, and that'll be it for the season. So,
all right.
If anybody hasn't a chance to get out to see the Bella Vista Farmers Markets every Saturday from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. over at 612 West Lancashire Boulevard. So get on out there. Only 2 Saturdays left. So,
yeah. And those Christmas presents, man, those unique Christmas presents. Christmas is around the corner, y'all. You can find some
light up in the stores.
Yeah. So you can find some unique presents at these farmers markets and stuff. And I mean, just keep that in the back of your mind. Go hit up one of these last 2 farmers markets and see what you can find.
Yeah. So Shutter's Pub opened Wednesday, the 19th. So we had a little controversy, but again, we're here to support small businesses. People that aren't aware of it, it's located in 1889 Bella Vista Way here in Bella Vista. So please take the time to support these small businesses. They need everything. They need all the help they can get. So
yes. I
know we had a little bit craziness going on there. We can get into that after, but they have some music going on there too. Saturday night, October 22nd from 8 p.m. to 11 p.m. So
awesome.
Out there and check it out. And we have the Budget Buster, buddy.
Budget Busters.
So let everybody know, last week, the pork butts, we went out there and grabbed those babies.
I smoked them up too, man.
You have any of those pictures? We had what did I get? Two packs. So they were the last 2 packs there, man. They were going like wildfire.
It was 23 pounds of pulled pork I smoked, and I think I probably yielded at least 18 pounds of pork off of it. And I have that vacuum sealer.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Basically, I've got, easy pulled pork dinner in the freezer, man, for several meals, man. It's nice.
Great, unbelievable price too, Chris.
Yeah.
I mean, this is crazy.
Like under $30 for that much meat, man. That's just,
Yeah.
I mean, it's a deal and a half.
Yeah, no doubt. So this week, they set the bar last week. Now they're bringing it even higher, man. So this week's ad running from October 19th to the 25th. They got whole boneless pork loins, $1.57 a pound, man.
Man.
Whole half boneless ribeyes, $5.05 a pound, and 80/20 ground beef at $2.50 a pound. So
look at their apple prices, man. 10-pound bag of apples, man, for $5.98 each. I think that sounds like a pretty dang good deal. I mean, we buy apples, every week. So I mean, it's a pretty good deal right there.
Yeah,
and even the sausage, man, $2.70 each for those sausages.
Oh yeah, the rolled sausage.
Yeah,
absolutely, man. So there, I mean, every week
biscuits and gravy on, buddy.
Oh yeah, I could go for that now, man. You're making me hungry, man. So this past Monday here, I spent there in the work session for the city council. And the regular meeting is Monday. City council meeting is Monday, October 24th at 6:30. Again, we're going to rehash the two proposals, the working proposals for the SDR.
It's like Groundhog Day or something, man. Like, it's like Bill Murray. Where's Bill Murray, man? He just shows up. He's like, well, folks, we're here at the city council meeting again.
Yeah, I mean, it's just... I took a quick look at some of the stuff that they're working on. And it's mind boggling to me, man. It's just frustrating. And I'm sure it's going to be the same old come Monday, so,
yeah,
but we'll get out there again and listen to the more lip service, I guess,
Well, listen to I'm sure the one city council member that likes to, council-splain everything. I'm coining that term, man. I need to get a T-shirt with that. Like, don't you council-splain me.
Yeah. So October 31st, we know Halloween's coming. People aren't familiar with this area. We do trunk or treat. We did tell everybody we're going to get them a list together as we approach Halloween.
I think I've got 6 locations so far in the Bella Vista, Bentonville general area. Awesome. And I'm still compiling, so...
kids are going to be happy, man. Fill up those bags and do a number on those teeth.
Get that sugar high, man. It's one time a year that mom and dad probably will let you do it.
Yeah. So, what do you want to hit on next? You want to get into that video with?
Yeah. So we like I said, it's been a marathon week. We've interviewed 4 people this week alone. All people that are running for some type of political or public office. And so we have one person we're familiar with. We know Joseph Bollinger. He's, been our Justice of the Peace. We've known him several years, right? And I think we'll go ahead and play that interview, give everybody an idea of what the Justice of the Peace, because I don't think a lot of people realize what the Justice of the Peace does. Right. And get Joseph's stance on some topics of interest that are happening in the county, and then some of these topics of interest are actually on the ballot, right? And the 2 that I could think of that are heavy, right, are the taxes. So we have one temporary tax to try to fund a new jail because our jails are over capacity. Right. The other one is a permanent tax. And so I think Joseph does a good job of elaborating on what this is, and we'll just go into it, man.
Okay, sounds good.
All right. So Mark, another candidate, man. This is a hot and heavy election cycle. Another candidate who's up for re-election, Joseph Bollinger, Benton County Justice of Peace. We were lucky enough to have an interview. So without further ado, we'll go ahead and bring Joe on.
Sounds good.
Hey, Joe, how's it going?
Hey,
how's it going, Joe?
Pretty good. By the way, I am the lucky one, not you guys. So I'm lucky to be here. So, yeah.
Well, we appreciate your time, and obviously, like I said, this to every candidate. it's important for people in our communities to step up and put themselves out there and run for office. We see a lot of people doing it on this election cycle, which tells me that a lot of people in the general community see a need for change or not change, depending on what side of the fence their politics fall on. But it's encouraging to see this much participation in just like our city council position. We have 3 people running for mayor in Bella Vista. I believe you were running unchallenged for a while, but somebody threw their name in the hat as well to run. So that tells me that people are taking a more active stance in politics in general. And a lot of people that are throwing their names in the hat, they have, this is their first time doing it. So
yeah, a lot of new names.
Yes, a lot of new names, a lot of new personalities, and a lot of people have moved here too. So, I mean, it's good to sit down and talk with anybody who's running for any type of office.
Absolutely. I would say that change has been in the air for quite some time. I mean, I ran back, in 2020 as a change candidate, right? And that was definitely, obviously I won that election. So, people, especially people Bella Vista, are clamoring for change. So, and I definitely that's been in the air for quite some time. And before we get started, I want to mention one thing. I did know you guys before you were famous, and so before it was cool.
Infamous. It's not famous. It's infamous. Okay.
Infamous, famous, whatever you want to say. So all the other candidates that come on here, they may be meeting you now. I knew you guys back before it was cool, so I just want to throw that out there. So,
we haven't quit our day jobs yet, Joe.
That's right.
No, we're still holding out on hiring that communications guy and trash guy, but so you got to fill
marketing,
those roles, man.
That's right.
So, tell me a little bit about why you are rerunning, what the duties of the Justice of the Peace are. Some people may not be educated to understand what the Justice of the Peace actually does. And then we'll go into some questions.
Yeah. The reason why I'm rerunning is actually the same reason why I ran the first time. Had to be with basically doing it for my children. I look at them. I've been here since 1987 in this area, and I want to make sure that my kids have the same opportunity or better than I had to grow up in a peaceful, wonderful place that we like to call home here in Bella Vista and Benton County. And that has not changed. And I would say that, and also the people of Bella Vista want somebody that listens to them, advocates for them, not afraid to stand up for them, and really, pushes on the issue to be a strong advocate for them. So that's the reason why, my campaign slogan, "We the People," that hasn't changed. I don't plan on having that change anytime soon. At the end of the day, that is what I am. I try to be the representative for all my constituents, and to me, that's vitally important. And if anything, the last 2 years has taught us more so that we need principled conservative leadership at all branches levels of government, because it is vitally important to have elected officials who understand the Constitution, willing to fight for the Constitution, and willing to fight for their constituents. And those are critical components.
A lot of them are willing to stand up and take the oath of office, but then they turn around and they're like, no, Second Amendment's not that important. First Amendment's not that important.
Yeah, it's important to stand on principle when push comes to shove. And unfortunately, a lot of people, they don't, they're missing something, along the middle of their back called the spine. And they fold under pressure. And I think I have a pretty good reputation at this point that is not me. I don't fold under pressure. I will dig in and make sure that my principles are sound. But I'm also pragmatic. I want to make sure that I'm willing to compromise where compromise could be. If I'm not compromising my principles or the Constitution or my oath of office, I'm willing to find equal ground with things, like with work with anybody to do good. So I'm not principled to a fault. I am pragmatic, but definitely principled. So, and I believe you asked a question about a JEP and like what the responsibilities are. Is that
yes? Yep.
So so the way I like to explain this is Justice of the Peace is kind of like city council, but for the entire county. So when you have your state government, which obviously is below the federal government, so you have the federal government, state government. the state creates municipalities and counties. So we actually have equal say with the municipality. So a county can't tell the municipality what to do. Municipality can't tell the county what to do. We work together to accomplish goals for the region. Now, sometimes municipalities and the county could be like, no, this is our issue, this is your issue, and they kind of dig into their trenches with that and not want to necessarily have collaboration. But I would say anymore, people, especially people in Benton County, as the area grows and becomes more blended, the people of Benton County want that collaborative effort between the multiple branches and multiple entities of government, because we're things are becoming more of a regional issue as opposed to even a Bella Vista or a Bentonville issue.
Right.
Things are becoming much more blended now to where it affects all of us. So we want to make sure our branches of government work together where it's applicable.
Agreed. So there's a massive budget surplus in Arkansas right now. Typically, what I see with budgets is if you're running $1 billion surplus, either A, you're overtaxing people, or B, you're not spending money where money's supposed to be spent.
Yeah.
What can the Justice of the Peace positions do to access or tap into that $1 billion surplus revenue that the state of Arkansas has, or go forth to the legislative bodies to say, look, you guys need to lower taxes because you have this huge surplus that's just sitting around?
Well, we can't necessarily tap into that money unless they give us access to that money. Now, we could do things, and we do this all the time at the county level, where we get grants, whether it's from the federal government, from the state government. So a lot of times we'll get money from the higher entities of government through grant programs and things of that nature. Now, one thing that I particularly like to do, and this makes me more unique as far as the Justice of the Peace, is I have a lot of very great relationships with these state legislatures. I know pretty much, I think, every single legislator in Benton County, possibly Washington County, personally, and I talk to them quite often. So a lot of times I could take what people are telling me as a justice of the peace and advocate for those issues even at the state level, talking to them, saying, hey, whoever they maybe I'm talking to, say, hey, we really need this at the county, or we need this for this area over here in Bella Vista or Bentonville, wherever I may be representing at the time, because my district covers both Bentonville, part of up down to Tiger Boulevard, and then East Bella Vista and the county area in between. So I have to have a mixture of things, of responsibilities in regards to my representation for that. But yes, I strongly advocate for my constituents, even when it comes time for state issues, because I will talk to the people who can make a change. So if I can't do it, I'll find the person who can. So I think that's very vitally important.
Okay.
Yep.
So along with the $1 billion budget surplus that Chris has mentioned, we talk about jail capacity, and I had the opportunity to sit down with coffee and a cop, and they actually had the Chief Graves there, and I don't think it was the sheriff. I think it was a fill-in that day, but he had mentioned the overcapacity of the jails. Mm-hmm. And the other thing that he mentioned that was just blew me away was the fact that they want to put a new jail in Benton County, and the cost is going to be $250 million. Mm-hmm. And he was advocating for another increase in taxes for that, which blew me away after we just had a discussion about having $1 billion surplus. Yes. The answer is just like you said, well, we don't have our hands on that money. How do we get them? Well, that's not our job. You know what I mean? Somebody has to figure that out. But, it's frustrating for the average citizen in the middle of a recession, and you're looking to try to get more money from them. So if you could dig into that a little bit more, let us know about the taxes. So you get the state tax. Was it 6.5%? Is it 6.5?
Yep, that's right.
Okay. Then you have the county is it 1%?
1%. That's right.
2% in Bella Vista.
2% in Bella Vista.
So explain the other tax, these two taxes for this county or for the jail.
Yeah, and that would have been Chief Deputy Meyer Gilbert. I was there that day at the SALT meeting, so that would have him that made that presentation with that. So so the way this is going to be on your ballot. So when you go early vote, whether it's March 24th or the election day on November 8th, you'll see two different proposals on your ballot. One is an 1/8 cent tax, which basically funds the construction of the jail. that comes up to about, I think it's $179 million, if I remember correctly, give or take that. That would be for the eighth of a cent. That would be a temporary tax. They say it should be anywhere between 10 to maybe 13 years or so. It really depends on how quickly you can pay it off. And there's other aspects on that, how quickly you can pay it off, which is the other thing about to mention. The other tax that will be on your ballot is a quarter of a cent tax, which is a permanent tax. Now, right. I did push for it to say permanent on the ballot language, but the lawyers told us I can't do that. So I try to make it so, because at the end of the day, I want to make sure that people know, hey, if this passes, it's permanent. It's very vital that people know that, because I don't want people to vote on this saying that, thinking this is temporary, and then it doesn't go away. So
right.
That was so the eighth of a cent is temporary, which, by the way, Benton County has a history of making sure that these taxes sunset. So there's concern of saying, well, it's going to be renewed indefinitely. I don't see that happening unless something dramatic changes, which I don't anticipate. We won't seek a renewal of that unless something dramatic changes. And if it does, it'll go back to the people for a vote. But I don't anticipate that. But we do have a history of making sure those things do sunset. But yeah, so the eighth of a cent will be temporary, and the quarter of a cent will be permanent. That'll never go away. Trust me. You guys all know, once government gets some money, not letting it go.
Yep.
Yeah.
But with the state, local, and city tax, and with that increase, we might possibly be the highest, pretty close to the highest in the country, which people would be blown away to hear that. We're almost close to 10%.
We'll just be nudging right below 10%. If both these taxes pass, there will only be one city in Benton County that goes over 10%. That will be Cave Springs. We will be at 10. We'll be at 9.875. I want to say it is. If it passes, both the taxes pass, will be just a hair below 10%. That 10%.
I'm saying across the country.
Oh yes, no, absolutely. Our sales tax here is exceptionally high. That's the reason why, as a JP, I proposed two different tax cuts: one off our sales tax, one off our property tax. As a matter of fact, what I pushed for before the sales tax was approved was I actually wanted to cut our county general sales tax to the same equal value that we were asking for the new tax. That way, it would be a net neutral tax to the taxpayers, because at the end of the day, at this time, of high inflation and going to recession, the people of Benton County are hurting. And I had a hard time asking them to pay more taxes right now. There is definitely a need for the jail expansion, and I'm not going to deny that. Most people are not going to deny the need for the jail expansion. We are over capacity. Simple fact. We are full. We need to do something, and that is certainly not. I'm not going to advocate against that. I'm not going to do it. We need to do something. And I'm going to make that very clear. I just, at the time when it came across my desk to vote for it, I voted against it. I was the only one to vote against it, not because I didn't see the need, but because I just couldn't do it now when the people of Benton County are suffering. I had to vote against it at that time. So not in this current economic environment.
Okay. All right. Mark, you want to tap a little bit into the catch and release program a little bit, or?
This is the other piece to this overcapacity with the jail. And Chief Graves mentioned this, and it is troubling to me, the fact that maybe you can elaborate a little bit more on this, but at this point, when they were processing misdemeanor people, and they were sending them down to the county to go through the whole court system, I'm being told now that they're not even doing that. They're basically releasing them. Is that correct? I mean, what was the process prior to that? Can you put us through to that and tell us where we are now?
So this is actually, if we want to talk about the process before that, we had to go before COVID, because that was the last time we were actually able to hold misdemeanors. It was before COVID. Because that's actually when we had capacity in the jail to hold misdemeanors. Right now, what we're doing is, and not me, it's the sheriff and obviously the jail staff make these calls, and the prosecuting attorney Nathan Smith, who the sheriff and the prosecuting Nathan Smith, they do a great job, and I can imagine the choice that they make to let these people go like this. But so what they're going to do right now is they're holding violent felons and potentially violent misdemeanors. There are some misdemeanors that have indicate violence and things like that, right? So, but as of right now, that for the most part, they are not holding misdemeanors because the jail is full of potential felons. I say potential because a lot of them are pretrial, so they may not actually be convicted, so therefore they're not a felon, right? But so right now, that all people who are in there are being charged or been charged with a felony.
Okay, so these people right now are being released on their own recognizance. If they do something in the community right now, they're just basically getting bounced back out, and they're probably repeat offenders.
Correct.
When you think
that is correct,
okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, which is a terrible thing. It's a terrible thing, and we need to address it, and we need to address it immediately. That's actually what I've been working on, is finding, okay, what do we do? Because even if the jail tax passes, it's going to be 3 years before we get any more beds. So we have an immediate issue that needs to be resolved. Yeah, we need to solve it long term, but we also have to solve it on the short term as well. And there are temporary solutions out there to do that, and that's something I'm going to be advocating for.
I think somebody needs to go visit that sheriff out in Arizona, man, and take some notes, man. Tent City, man. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I believe that was shut down due to a constitutional violation. Yeah,
I know. You got to have your 3 hots in a cot and have a certain temperature and a whoopee, and I know. All right. Well, so ethics are a big topic, I think, on most Americans' minds. We see rules for thee and not for me. Multitude of different levels of government. We see arbitrary silencing and censoring of people of a certain ideological or political background. But it's free reign for others, and so that ties into ethics, right? And so I believe I have a personal philosophy that we have to start holding each other accountable for being ethical and moral. And I'm curious on your thoughts about how do we improve the ability for people who see wrong, unethical behavior in a political office. How do we get that process for reporting that streamlined? Case in point, I attempted to fill out an ethics complaint, and I got a bounce back email. Basically, the email system just said, "No, you can't email us," and that was basically the end of my venture down that road. I think I tried making a phone call down there, never got a phone call back. So I was like, well, obviously ethics aren't that important to the Ethics Commission if I can't even report it. Yeah. My thoughts on that is are there whistleblower protections within, say, the Justice of the Peace group or quorum or positions where you can basically say, look, I know this guy is violating these 3 statutes and somebody needs to investigate it?
That wouldn't necessarily be particularly a role of the Justice of the Peace per se to do that, but that being said, I could definitely help out with that kind of stuff. I'm surprised that you got a bounce back on the email for the ethics. That's not good. I'm curious what happened. That's not good. But obviously keeping people accountable is vitally important. That is certainly I would hope and clamor for most politicians to be ethical. I think unethical people should not be in office, and I think we need more ethics in politics, because you have people that may not be in it for the right reasons, may not be in it for the people, and may be in it for personal gain. So I think it's vitally important to make sure that we hold people accountable, and whether you do it through the ethics department at the state level or through the ballot box,
right.
That's the good thing about elections, right? Is that's where the ultimate test of are you a good elected official? If you're not, then boot them out of there. And so that's certainly a good thing, is the ballot box. So but like I said, the Justice of the Peace thing, we don't necessarily, that's not really our role in regards to an enforcer of ethics in regards to that. Now, I'll say the Justice of the Peace have higher stringent requirements for ethics than even state level or city level governments. Reason being is, like, for example, I can't talk to the other Justices of the Peace, at least about anything policy wise, such as upcoming votes or anything of that nature. Right? I just don't talk to them. Because I always like to err on the side of caution. So if there's if I see a justice of the peace in the store, I'll wave and say hi or something like that. But we're not allowed to talk to one another, so that's something.
Does this tie into the whole where you have to notify the media if 2 or more people?
Yep.
So that one, that policy to me just seems kind of prohibitive on people trying to brainstorm and come up with solid.
It is
solid policy or solid ordinance building and stuff like that.
It's not the intent of it, but it's certainly the effect of it. But the intent of it, which is understandable and logical, is to basically make it so that way there's not any backroom deals, things like that, which I fully support. I don't want to have any backroom deals. I don't want people doing that. So I fully support that. I fully support transparency, but that was the intent of that law, is to basically make it to where that doesn't happen.
Never mind the burner phone that they got.
Well, I don't know about that. I don't have a burner phone, but I suppose, they could. I'll tell you what, though. JPs don't get paid enough money to have burner phones.
Oh man, the price of a phone is pretty cheap these days, man. All right, next question, Mark.
So Joe, every week you have a meeting at Papa Mike's. Tell us a little bit about it. Is it like a Young Republicans meeting? What exactly do you do?
Well, it's not every week. I do personally, as a justice of the peace, I have periodic sit downs where I have my constituents come sit down with me and talk to me. Chris and Mark, you've both been to one before, so yeah, I make sure that people come and be able to talk to me. I try to be very, very active and involved with my constituency because I want to make sure at the end of the day I am a good representative of them. So that's the reason why I make sure I do these sit downs. I pay for polling out of my own pocket on critical issues. Making sure that I know the pulse of the people's thoughts on critical things before I vote on it. So I do that out of my own pocket, and I don't get reimbursed for that. So nor do I get reimbursed for the sit downs that I do. So that's just something I allocate funds out of the very small funds I get as being a justice of the peace to make sure that I'm able to hear from my constituents. So
is that by appointment, Joe, or is it once a month? How can
No, it's not by appointment. Honestly, I have them less now than I did in the past because, frankly, most people just don't show up to them. Most people don't really care to do that. So I have it less now than I used to, just because of the nature of a lot of times I just sit there and have a burger, which is fine. I'm supporting local businesses in my district. That's great. Right. But yeah, matter of fact, I'm having lunch tomorrow with a constituent, so I'll go and meet people now more individually, but I do want to continue. Matter of fact, I plan on having on one of those here fairly soon about with the sit downs, but yeah, that's something I do regularly. But yeah, like I said, for the most part, people don't show up to them. So I was originally gonna do it monthly, and I was like, well, I did that many months in a row and nobody showed up. So I'm like, well, that was kind of a waste. So
anytime you get to sit down at Papa Mike's and eat, man, it's not a waste. So you know what I'm saying?
Oh, well, okay, yeah, that's true. No, yeah, I'll definitely take a good cheeseburger any day of the week. Don't worry, it's not a waste. I should say that. I want to make sure it's available, but what I mean by that is nobody shows. It's kind of like, oh man, that's a bummer, But I actually started getting people to show up though, actually. So when I have them more frequently, more people show up. So I was like, okay, great. So, and maybe more people start showing up more and more, then I'll do it more often. But yeah, like I said, I originally tend not doing it more, but I kind of made it more spaced out just due to the nature of lack of attendance. So, but yeah. And also, maybe you think about this, Mark, I also have my monthly meetings for the Young Republicans, which I'm the chair of as well.
Yeah, that's how I was bringing it up. Yeah.
Okay. Sorry, my bad. So yes, we meet, the Young Republicans do, which is outside my elected capacity. That's my party leadership role. The Republican Party is on the chair of the Young Republicans. We meet up every fourth Wednesday at Casanos in Rogers.
Okay.
So matter of fact, we just had Sheriff Holloway at our last meeting. So yeah, we do that every month, and that's anyone from the age of 18 to 40. And we accept you guys as a Young Republican. So.
You already said, man, we're old, man. Yeah.
I'm about to be 40, so I'll be aging out of that here relatively soon. So thankfully I have a good team of people, and I'll be able to have good replacements. So
Awesome.
Well, what are
Yeah.
your thoughts on the, you're a Bella Vista resident on top of it.
Yep.
So what is your thoughts on the approaches that's happening with forcing short-term rental legislation in Bella Vista?
Well,
Do you feel like
my
that's actually like, I'm seeing them try to work together on it, but I still think that some of this, they're missing the mark. And I think that they could benefit from actually like going back and doing some type of polling to the constituency as a whole versus I talked to these 2 or 3 people and we brought in this expert, which may or may not be an expert. An expert is an arbitrary term anymore. So what are your thoughts on how the city's handling this from a property rights perspective or just overall, trying to force through a legislation?
I definitely appreciated back when they had the first, they had like an open meeting to where people just got to go there and open suggestions, things like that into a box. I liked that aspect of it. I would like to see more public input on this. Obviously, more public input is always a good thing. So I just want to make sure that people will advocate for that, public input. My personal feelings on that, I don't like to see the cap. That's my biggest issue is the cap personally. I think there already is a cap for short-term rentals, and it's called the free market. We don't necessarily need to have a artificial cap on something like that. As a matter of fact, the caps that they're proposing is actually less than the amount of short-term rentals that we've historically had in Bella Vista with the village rentals or vacation rentals. Sorry.
Right.
So we actually had more rentals back then. But now suddenly they're like, nope, we got to keep it at 650, 750, whatever number they agree on. Ultimately, I just hope they don't do the cap. That's my biggest thing, and also the permit fees, and also having. I don't want them having stringent requirements that don't actually solve anything. I understand the need for safety. I understand, fire extinguishers, smoke alarms, fire escapes if there's a fire, things of that nature. And also, the root issue with a lot of these complaints is parking on the street, loud music. If only we had laws
I don't know. Don't we have city ordinances on something like this?
We do.
I mean,
so we already have that. But
right.
That's if that's the root cause of the issue, great. Let's take care of it.
Let's enforce what we already have on the books and see how it works. See how it goes, man. I don't know. Let's just instead of getting everybody's heart rates up and their blood pressure up over this issue for this many months now, right? It's Let's try something different. Let's just enforce the ordinances and the laws that we have on the books to start with.
Yep.
It's very intimidating though too, because you have a lot of people out there who have their livelihood tied up in these short-term rentals. The person I'm going to meet up with tomorrow, we're building Airbnbs right now, and just imagine, especially at this current time with this economic environment that we're going into, where home values may potentially stop where they're at or possibly go down even worse. Imagine building or renovating existing structures with the intent of having Airbnb, and suddenly now you're not able to get one of these permits. That would be a disaster. You're talking about people's life savings here, potentially their income at a time that when people's wallets are already strapped. It's a very serious issue, and it's not something we cannot be affecting people's livelihoods like that. And that is
I know
a major
people
issue.
are tying up their retirement and stuff into some of their dream homes and stuff, and they're like, their plan is to rent it out, and pay the home off earlier and stuff like that. But the flip side of that argument, and I'm gonna throw this, I'm gonna play devil's advocate for a moment. The flip side of that argument is I have 4 homes, and they're in these economic struggling times, right? Like, logic would tell you, man, maybe you need to sell off a couple homes, cut back a little bit. And I do see a point with there was a couple of news articles that came out a month and a half ago or so, where basically cities were having housing shortages due to the amount of Airbnbs and stuff, and they were trying to incentivize Airbnb owners to convert to a long-term rental to augment some people actually who work in the city who can't find homes, right? Because so they're having to commute in constantly.
Yeah,
so there's a lot of challenges with the whole topic as a whole, and I don't think that it's something that local government really should be getting too overly invested in.
Again, that's a free market issue. Like for example, I own a rental home on the other side of Bella Vista. There was something I was thinking about, and it's a long term rental, not short term. Just to make sure I'm clear on that. I was contemplating 2 years ago turning into a short term rental. I did not, because I recognized where the market was going in regards to, this is, during COVID and things like that, that it was not going to be a good business at that time to go into. The thing is, with a short-term rental, long-term rental, you can, especially now with this construction to be happening in Bentonville for the new home office, these next 3 or 4 years, if there's a gap or like a dip in the economy in regards to short-term rentals, convert it into a furnished long-term rental.
Yeah,
that's very profitable as well and much more secure. So again, it's not a government issue; it's a free market issue, and the free market will decide that. So
exactly.
Okay. So Joe, early voting's next week. What can you tell the people if they're on the fence right now, why they should vote for you, and how do they get in touch with you if there's any questions they may have prior to early voting?
Mm-hmm. Well, they can get in touch with me. Phone number is 479-531-0788. They can contact me at bollingerforarkansas@gmail.com. Why they should vote for me? You want to vote for the person that believes in representing you. You want to vote for the person that, when push came to shove, he will stand up for you and my principles and your principles. Stand up for the good U.S. Constitution. Stand up for our values that we have here in Benton County. You want to vote for the person that will put more money back into your wallet during these challenging times. And I've done that. I've done that through voting against expensive federal programs that hurt us with inflation. I proposed 2 different tax cuts. I also proposed body cameras for the Sheriff's Department, keeping them safe and accountable. I also, during COVID, made sure that we advocated for the small businesses, especially in Bella Vista. I did that through a small business grant program. So I think people should vote for me, not because of the letter next to my name or anything of that nature. They should vote for the person who is willing to work for them, making sure that they that I'll earn their vote, earn their support, and make sure I advocate for them and doing what's best for the people of District 7.
Okay.
Awesome.
Joe, we really appreciate your time tonight, and I know it's taking time away from your family. And Chris and I are just we're on a hard push, man. We got another 7 or 8 candidates here, and we just keep on pushing it through. We want to get out as many people as possible and get the information out to the masses. So
you guys are an asset to the community, and thank you for everything you guys do. And I really appreciate it. I know the people of our area definitely appreciate it as well. So thank you guys.
Awesome.
I appreciate it.
Thank you, Joe. Have a great evening.
All right. Have a good night.
Good night.
What's your name? Where you from? The French have invaded.
Portugal.
Portugal, yes.
AOC, Austin, Texas.
Keep it weird.
Yeah,
Where you from? Where you from?
Yeah.
Lying here, so hear me out. So let's run, run, run. Pull me in and take me out. Let's run, run, run around.
And we are back from that interview and break. I don't know, man. It's great talking with anybody running for a political office. I think Joseph did a great job talking about the tax increases, and I find it odd that the attorneys are like, you can't say permanent, right? I guess because permanent would be a definitive, right? And with representation becomes, there's the opportunity that at some point in the future they could repeal it. It's unlikely as all get out, right? It's unlikely. Like once they get the money, they don't want to give the money back. Just like once they get the power, they don't want to give it back. We're seeing that happen across the nation with emergency. I think somebody just liked this. I don't know who that was. Debbie Pritchett Hart, thank you for following us.
Thanks, Debbie.
But you know what I'm saying? Like there is a, it seems like government, really over the past 2 years, like they want to absorb all this power and take on all these challenges at the cost of the taxpayer, obviously, right? And then we're going to ask you to pay a little bit more taxes, but it's okay. It's cool, right? And they don't really ever want to give it back. And, I know we're a population that's growing in Northwest Arkansas, and with that, obviously the tax base increases. So you would think at some point they would find like that sustainability, right? Do we really need to keep taxing people? But the reality of